So today we're sitting down and having a chat with Manawatu coach Luke Murray. So Luke, first of all, thank you for having a chat to us. And looking back to last season, it was a pretty good season for you guys, and so very nearly got the big prize on offer, earned that challenge, and came inches short, shall we say? But looking across the season as a whole, probably on the whole pretty positive. Did well in the Chapel Cup, came third apart from a hammering at the hands of Hawke's Bay in the semi-final. Did well in the furlong, nearly took a game against Hawke's Bay on the other side. Did drop points in that game against Wairarapa. So, how do you kind of sum up that season? I imagine there's kind of lots of good and stuff you're pretty proud of, particularly around that effort in the challenge, but also kind of areas for you to identify to work on and move forward with.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, sort of coming into the head coaching role quite late in the piece, a few weeks out from the season, just sort of, I guess, the team itself went through quite a few changes, lost a lot of experience from the season before. So there was a lot of youth coming through for me to meet and sort of gauge where they're at and where we were at as a squad and as a team. So it took a few weeks to kind of figure some stuff out there, I guess. But I guess the positive thing for me was that the young guys especially learned really quickly how to sort of come into a Hawke Cup setup and thrive, I guess, or start to thrive and learn and get that experience. But they picked it up pretty quickly, and I think there was a testament to the culture that Manawatu's built in the last few years. With Mitch last year, Mitch Renwork, the sort of momentum, I guess, that we're able to get from having good older guys that were still there, core of like Arna, Barnett and Trent Grass, Ben Stalwart. There was still good leadership there, so the young guys could sort of come in and sort of get up to speed pretty quick. So that was a pretty cool positive from my point of view. But it didn't necessarily mean there weren't going to be ups and downs, I guess, and there was, one being the Wairarapa game. I guess in hindsight, we all learned plenty from that, myself included, around sort of preparation and just coming in with a more focused mindset, I guess. I think the leadership group took a lot of that on board too, and the young guys, they experienced a real, and no disrespect to Wairarapa at all, they're a good side, but they gave us a real toweling, to be fair, and it hurt, and guys were hurt from it. I was as well, and we all, I think we took a step back from it and thought, shit, we, possibly went in there a little bit relaxed and prepared, thinking we'll just go in and do the job, and they just nailed us. And from there, I think we changed our approach, even down to how we're training, and a lot of things had to, I guess, come up plenty of levels, I guess, easiest way to say it. And I think we did that. We bounced back the next game against Horowhenua. Batted really well, just did all the basics really well. But I think guys were, with that loss, they thought, shit, the only way we're going to get better as well is actually enjoy it and come together as a group. So even though the loss was hard, I think in certain ways it actually pulled us together as well, because same old cliche, you learn plenty from your losses, and I think we did. So we sort of bounced back, and then we keep playing good cricket from there. I can't actually remember your question now. But there was a lot ups and downs, but I think overall, we took heaps out of the season and got unearthed some really good young talent and established a core leadership group that should see us through, for the near future as well. So, real good sides to what we went through, I think. Yeah. Yep.
And that challenge, I think it sums up
Yeah.
the fine margins between success and failure in cricket for anyone that's watching this that didn't know. Obviously, 2 or 3 runs, Hawke's Bay still needed, 9 down. You've taken a man out of the slips cordon and it's been edged straight through and run away for 4. Sleepless nights, I imagine,
Yep.
thinking about that ball, but to come that close is still a really positive sign as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We sort of came in, we were pretty well prepared. We were happy where we were at. We were happy with the side. Guys have performed well at various times throughout the season. So, we're all ready to put in a good performance. I guess we didn't bat as well as we would have liked. Another 80 to 100 runs would have been nice, but that's cricket. And, how we went out there and bowled and fielded and just managed to put Hawke's Bay under plenty of pressure. I was like super proud. Obviously, Smalley bowled his absolute guts out. Pretty much cost him the rest of the season. But, I think that, him leading from the front and just guys continuing to believe. I think when, someone like Brad Schmeling for Hawke's Bay, who has been a thorn in our sides all the time, every time we play him, I think it kind of we kind of not figured out what we needed to do against him, but we kind of had a plan there, and we kept nailing, and then eventually we got the opportunity. We took it, and it kind of opened up a little bit of a door for us, and it was cool to see from the sideline that we were bowling to good plans, and everyone was just, I guess, trying to nail their roles and supporting, and came so close. It was obviously gut wrenching, but on the same token, to get as close as we did, it was like pretty awesome. And then I guess seeing how Hawke's Bay kind of crushed everyone after that, I guess sort of a consolation of the fact that we were probably the closest battle they had. So it's a good thing, I guess, if you look at it from that perspective. But obviously we went on to win, so hey, we'll have another crack hopefully. Yeah.
And you mentioned Bevan Small. You guys, were really reliant on him to step up in a lot of big moments with the ball and in that challenge as well. Dane Cleaver was huge. So, how do you kind of ensure that you can rely on your depth around that when guys like that, you're not going to know if you will have them available if you do win a challenge again this season? Those two may well not be there. So, how do you prep the rest of the team to be able to fill those gaps?
I guess it starts from next week when we start pre-season. If it's senior cricket, so or senior rep cricket, so when guys come in, guys that come in have talent in it, but we want them to perform, as well. You don't really want to just be moulding young guys for the future. It is rep cricket, so we want to win now, and that'll be a bit of a I guess that'll be a bit of a message, even though we want to, train and develop, but winning now is crucial. So in terms of replacing guys like Bevan and Dane, it's you can't as such, really. I don't think. You just have to, get the guys that you got, work on them, train, try to develop them, and luckily, this year, I think I can probably let you know that Mike Mason's come on as our bowling coach this year. So, he'll be huge for our young group, just bringing his experience, wisdom in. And I guess we just keep moulding our group, and you might not be able to replace us even with one person, but you could like a Moneyball situation, bring in two guys to cover that role maybe work it out that way. It's sort of, I guess it's just hoping our culture holds together and we just keep pushing through. But I'm pretty confident that whoever we put out there will do the job. I mean, we did. With all due respect to Smalley, we've had plenty of years that he hasn't been available, and Dane, we've done well against Hawke's Bay and the other opposition. So I think we can do it. Yeah, yep.
Are there any kind of weaknesses in the team or gaps that you're wanting to fill that you've kind of identified as areas that you need to improve?
I think spin bowling has obviously been a bit of an issue for a few years. We've had Arana who's done a pretty awesome job bowling off spin for the last few years, but I guess we haven't had that genuine spinner. Like Hawke's Bay's had a few leggies, like good quality leg spinners, and over the last few years, and that's probably an area that we haven't really nailed. I guess their spinners have won games for them in flat conditions and that, and we haven't. We've kind of relied on our medium paces, I guess, to get us through. So spin bowling's definitely an area, but we've actually got a couple of young guys. Ethan Campbell, who's a left arm offie, Hanu Rana, who's coming from outside the area, left arm spinner. So we've got a little bit of depth there now, and my plan is to utilise it, get them in there, and give them a crack because they've got some talent. So it's sort of that's an area where we've been a little bit weak, but I think we've got some talent there. I guess I'm not too sure who's going to be opening the batting match this year. So there's a couple of key spots that sort of need to be solidified, but again, our bowling attack's still pretty young. Got some talent there though with Brad Fulton and Jack Harris, Kirky, and Thomas Kirk, and brought a couple of guys into the squad from club cricket to perform. So we've got a little bit of depth there, possibly a bit untested, but we'll work on it over winter. Yeah.
And when I've obviously spoken to you previously, one of the things that you identified around what you need to do to be able to beat Hawke's Bay in those tight scenarios to actually get across the line against them was around preparation and bringing a higher level of preparation to the table. Is that still something you've identified as a key factor in getting across the line?
Yep. I think I think in Manawatu we sort of we don't possibly have the club standard of club cricket that prepares us to play a Hawke's Bay. And it's no disrespect to getting club cricket, but I think the level is such a rise when you go up against Hawke's Bay. Generally, 7 or 8, even a whole team of first class players or potential first class players. So the step up's huge, which sort of I guess magnifies the need to prepare well when we train, and also plan. I think plan well for the opposition we're going to be facing, which I think has probably been a weakness from my end, not kind of identifying their key players and then planning around it, e.g. and then Liam facing guys like that. So it is an area for me as well to work on, a bit of scouting. But I'm hoping with Mace on board as well, we can put our heads together a bit more and do that sort of stuff. So we can prepare for that sort of level and train accordingly. So I think we've got some good things on the horizon. Yep.
And if you had to name, say, 2 or 3 key figures that you think need to stand up for you guys to be successful this season, who would you kind of put forward?
I think probably for me, say the batting lineup. I mean, it's probably the key guys are the experienced guys. Really, Mason Hughes. Um, he's done really well the last few seasons. Just need him to sort of keep going in that direction, and especially when we come up against the key guys that are going to be huge for us this season. And well, I think bowling wise, I think like Jack Harris and Brad Fulton really like leading the post attack, especially if Bevan's not there. They're going to be two key guys there. So yeah, that's probably the guys that I'd probably identify off the top of my head.
And then, pre-season for you guys, what does that look like when you're going to kick into that? You said next week, but what's the focus on? What are you trying to get out of it?
So yeah, next week we're going to be kicking off with an 8-week block of fitness sessions for our training, and sort of I guess that's going to be focusing on bloody functionality and mobility, agility, stuff like that. I guess it's probably an area where fielding, moving in the field and speed to the ball and stuff's going to be important. So that's going to kick off for 8 weeks, and probably 4 weeks in, we're going to start getting into skill work with cricket skill work and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, I guess the 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 benefit about having a winter pre-season as such, you don't often get that in cricket, especially at a higher level. You can actually start from the ground up, I guess, and make significant changes if needed to your technique or whatever the case may be. So we've been through a bit of a review system, and guys have got some plans in place and to do that sort of thing. And it's quite, like I said, it's quite nice to be able to have that time to be able to do that. We just, in some cases, you're just constantly playing cricket, over and over. It's quite nice to have that break. And so, yeah, we've got a few things in mind there. Yep.
And then for
Yep.
you personally, how have you found that move from playing into coaching? And you mentioned kind of coming into the frame pretty late last season. So, what have you learned around how you want to approach coaching?
Yeah. It was a difficult transition, to be fair. I guess when I started coaching, I mean, a lot of guys would probably be in a similar situation. You end up coaching a whole bunch of mates they used to play with. And, it is quite difficult because, you have to learn a bit about, I guess, not distancing yourself necessarily, but taking a step back from being one of the lads to, to be able to coach and um, sort of, I guess, you know, yeah, coach the guy. Coach the guys, I guess, it's the word, without being their mates necessarily, but excuse me. Um, but I guess one of the biggest things that I learn, I guess, is just making sure that I've got plans, trainings are planned out, everything's sort of there for the guys to be able to come in and not worry about anything apart from cricket and their training and and focusing on the game. So for me, it's about preparation, good planning, training's all planned out, and just getting everything so the guys can just come in and roll into it, I guess. Yeah.
And then last question for today,
Mm.
losing a guy like Matt Rowe, obviously the news coming out this week that he's moved down to Canterbury, must hurt a bit to lose a player of his calibre. And how do you guys kind of identify it to ensure that you can keep players in the Manawatu?
Yeah, it is definitely a bit of a blow. Um, I mean, yeah, I guess I haven't been a huge myself personally hasn't been a huge part of Rowi's cricket over the years. I mean, I didn't really know too much about what he was doing in that until recently. So obviously disappointing because he showed obviously huge talent, and it's a massive disappointment he's leaving from our point of view. In the same token, um, he's made this decision and it's best for him, and that's great, and hopefully he really succeeds. But in terms of like keeping guys in the future, in terms of with Manawatu cricket, I'm not too sure necessarily what the union can or association can offer in terms of university and stuff like that, or whether that's CD's role. I don't actually know, to be fair. It's probably a question to ask CD cricket, maybe, or Manawatu cricket. But as far as I know, with Rowie in the group last year, I know he enjoyed it, he loved it. He was gutted he wasn't going to be able to represent Manawatu this year. But in the same token, he's super excited with the opportunity he's got. I mean, it'd be awesome to be able to identify a guy in Manawatu and be able to offer him scholarships and whatever else sort of young guys need these days. I don't know. I guess that's a financial kind of thing. Yeah. I'm not really a part of. Sorry. I just want to create the environment in Manawatu where guys want to be there and play and enjoy it and love it for the association. And hopefully that's enough to keep guys around to go on to CD and represent CD, because we all want the best for CD cricket. Around here we want them to do well, and yeah, when guys leave like that without really showing us what his full potential before going off elsewhere is pretty gutting. Yeah.
You have mentioned that kind of culture word quite a few times during our conversation. So I imagine, from your perspective, it's try and create that team culture and that team environment that makes guys want to play and want to be there and want to stick around.
Yep. Yeah, it's huge. I mean, it's a word that gets thrown around all the time, but it's real. Like you want to be. I mean, dudes these days, and I guess ladies as well. They want an environment where they can be happy, be themselves, thrive. And become better people. That's sort of a big thing these days as well. And having an environment where they can come in and not be afraid to express themselves and just and be happy and be around people that are of the same sort of mindset. It's huge these days. I mean, it's the last thing you want is to walk into a workplace or a team environment and you're just hating it, and you don't feel like you can talk and don't feel like you can speak up. And so, I mean, that's the environment that we want in Manawatu cricket, and especially the rep side. I want especially the young guys to come in who normally they like a bit unsure and that, but I want them to come in and straight away just be able to be open, talk, and have a laugh, work hard, all that sort of stuff. So it's important.
Thank you very much for your time today, Luke, and look forward to seeing Manawatu go well this season. All the best for the summer ahead.